09 585 646 to discuss your pallet requirements. And thank you again to Sonny and the team for their continued support of Ramble FC. What is happening, people, and welcome back to Ramble FC. Thank you to everybody for joining us over here. For those that don't know, we have rebranded Behind the Ramble into Ramble FC, which is where a channel now where we talk about loads of different topics of football, not just Sheffield United. However, this one does lean back into it a little bit because, obviously, I am Jimmy from the Blades Ramble. We talk about all things Sheffield United there. They are our pride and joy. And we, about 6 weeks, probably even 2 months ago now, we put a show together with James Mappin from Wednesday Till I Die podcast and a cousin of George Motson, very popular face on the Blades Ramble and on this channel as well, doing watch-alongs. And we like James, he just supports a terrible team. We had a nice debate about the state that Sheffield Wednesday were in at the time. We were sitting pretty and, you know, like we just lost out to Sunderland, and it's very disappointing, but we go into the new championship season feeling really strong, getting ready for it going and stuff like that, and what happens? This happens. To be honest, this was meant to be fun. This was meant to, in fact, let's get him in and let's start where we mean to go on. So welcome one and all. It's from the Wednesday Till I Die podcast. It's James. How's it going? Is he a look? His first little gimmick. Go on then, pal.
I'm just drinking all United fans' tears there. It's all right, mate.
Nice. Honestly, mate, I started as I meant to. I thought, no, I'll best get you on and I'll let you have a little smile as I talk through it. Cards on the table, mate. I thought this would be a lot more fun for me this season in terms of us getting together maybe once a month, once every 6 weeks or so, having a little chat about how each other are faring. And never once did I think at any point we will be beneath you in the table, because you are well down there and you have every reason to be down there. But below you is Sheffield United. What is happening, mate? What is going on? What have you made to the start of the season for both Sheffield sides?
I mean, yeah, if you'd have said to me 23rd in the league at this point of the season, I'd have probably took it because I thought we'd be absolutely rock bottom, getting pumped every single week. You know, the fact that we, like I said, we are 23rd, we're not bottom, and it's you that is bottom just makes it even better, to be fair. Like, you know, I would have thought it might have been, I don't know, an Oxford or a Charlton or someone like that if I had to pick another team down there. But, I mean, the fact you've not even picked a point up yet, you know, 4 straight defeats, you've turned on the manager already. I even heard people on the radio saying that we're in as bad a position as Sheffield Wednesday. And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's pushing it a little bit. I mean, a bit over exaggeration. But yeah, I mean, in terms of our start to the season, I know it sounds daft, but I don't think it's been as bad as what it perhaps could or should have been, really. You know,
certainly not on the field, mate. Certainly not on the field. You see, the way I look at it at the minute, and we'll go through games as they've happened, really, because I want you to talk me through how your lot have been doing, and I'll tell you how our lot have been doing, unfortunately, because I think we'll probably get some eyes from both sides of the city. We talked about it before, that there's a lot of split families and things like that. You've got, obviously, George, one of us, and that's part of your family. So there's all sorts of that going on. And we always keep half an eye on each other, whether you want to admit it or not. So talk to me a little bit about, picking up 1 point in 4 games ain't great, but you were expected to do this. I watched you on the opening day against Leicester City after thinking, in my table predictions, as probably yours and everybody else's, they've got Wednesday 24th. Everybody thought season. And I thought you're going to get pumped every week. We were talking, there were, in our group, it's going to be a cricket score this. Let's all watch this watch along because it's going to be really good viewing for Sheffield United. I have to say, and I don't like giving you praise, but I thought you played really well in terms of you'd had no pre-season. You had, 2, maybe 3 players go down injured. You'd had a couple of your best players walk out days before, having already lost Gassama and Musaba. and Timon and Pumba and everybody else. You lost them all. Everybody left. Gladys were about to put a kit on and drop kettle and come back onto the pitch. It was ludicrous, mate, in terms of who you'd lost, but how it sort of galvanised you. And I thought, ooh, this might be a bit of a problem for us. What were you thinking in that first game week?
I'll be perfectly honest, that first game week, the result didn't even matter. Before the game, it weren't anything to do with that. Obviously, the protest, don't come in until after 5 minutes, which I think was, observed impeccably. It was quite moving actually seeing the Leicester fans clapping and stuff when they came in. And yeah, I think it made quite a big statement. I think I was talking to one of the journalists and they were more national media at that fixture than they were at any other game over the weekend. And let's not forget as well, it was the Charity Shield as well on that day. So everyone wanted to be at that game. And like I said, I think it was more than just the result. I think everyone, as you mentioned, everyone expects us to get absolutely battered by, a decent Leicester side. I know they've got their own problems. When you look at both squads, they're just light years ahead of us. And the fact that you mentioned no pre-season, players have just left. It's just, we didn't even know who the manager were going to be up until kind of 3 or 4 weeks before the season started. We had about 4 different people that it might, could have been or might have been taking training and things like that. So yeah, I mean that first game. I mean, when you look back, I think if it's going to be any game where you're going to put a decent performance in, it was probably that one. Given that the players were going to, if they weren't paid, they weren't even going to play. That was the kind of what they put a statement out beforehand. So they would have been massively fired up for it as well. I mean, that game as well. I was at my sister's wedding, so Jordan was there. And obviously you played on the Saturday evening, didn't you? I think prior. And we were in a boozer before, and Jordan weren't there, but there were a lot of United fans, and obviously we were watching it and cheering when every time Bristol City scored, giving them a bit of jip and stuff. And then obviously our game was on when we were having when the reception was on, when we were eating his meal. Obviously, we had it on the phone, on the iPad, and what have you, watching it, and clearly quite a few other people were watching it as well. And what got me was when Leicester scored that the equaliser, there was a huge cheer that went up, and I'm thinking, like, that's how much it's kind of flipped, because we're expected to get beat in this game, but yet United fans are like, I suppose it was more relief more than anything that we'd actually drawn. Because had we gone on and won that game, I think you'd have massive egg on your face. But no, the performance were more than we would have imagined, really. I mean, even scoring a goal. I know we lost the game 2-1, but stupid red card, and they just kind of had too much for us, which I think is going to be the theme for much of the season, to be honest. I think most games are coming. The last 15-20 minutes are just going to be hanging on, if even we're in a position to hang on, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think as the game went on, even just that game, and like you say, this will probably be the story of your season, I thought your 11, for what they were, I thought they were impressive in terms of, I thought you wouldn't be able to field a side, and you look at them, and I wouldn't necessarily swap any of them for any of ours. I'm not trying to big you up.
Would you not have Barry Bannon?
No, not at all. Who for?
Not at any point.
Who for? Who are we taking out of our team?
Any of
for
them.
Barry Bannon?
I'm just throwing it out there.
Is it a real question?
10 years where you would have had Barry Bannon in
your for so long, John Fleck was so much better than him, and then when John Fleck came out the side, we've always had better players. During this period, the last 10 years that he's been with you, we've always been better than you. I think that's probably fair to say.
Yeah, apart from maybe the beginning, maybe we shaded it, but yeah, certainly over the last 7 or 8 years, yeah, I think you're probably right there. But just throwing it out there, you never know.
No, I wouldn't, mate.
It, but
some blades may have him. I wouldn't. I don't see where he gets in. I think he's clearly your talisman. He's a good player for you, and some players just know their level, don't they? So that's where I stand on Barry Bannon. But so you mentioned that. Oh, I was saying your team on pitch, I didn't think you'd be able to field a side. So you looked at the players. I thought Chalobah started really well. He then goes down injured. How long's he out for, by the way?
Forever. He's, you know what? He came, played. I think he played 2 or 3 games. Last season, injured again. He looked really good. Scored the goal. Hit the post as well before that. And you're thinking, wait a minute, like they're the types of players that you need in a season like this. And he goes down injured, and there's been no time for him whatsoever. That is another thing that's going to be massive this season. Injuries. I think we've already got 3, 4 injuries already.
You've no contingency either for it, have you? Because you haven't got the squad depth, and that's what I was coming on to, was that as the game went on, Chalobah gets replaced, obviously, because he's injured. I can't remember who it was, but somebody else went down injured, I think, in that game. Bannon gets sent off, and then you've just not got the depth to then revitalise your team and have a game changer come on or anything like that can give you half a chance. I think Jamal Lowe only sort of... Oh, no, we'll come on to that, but that's Leeds game. I've got it back in my mind because he was only senior pro that played in that, weren't he? But
other than keeper, yeah, but that was right, yeah.
Pierce Charles, what a goalkeeper, by the way. I have to say that. He played really well on that opening day. Did he get injured the following game, or were it in training or something like that?
Yeah, so he actually got injured in the Carabao Cup game against Bolton that we won. So he did his shoulder, but then he played in the defeat against Stoke as well. So I've no idea what I don't know if I think he dislocated his shoulder. So whether they've just, I don't know, popped it back in and he's played through the Stoke game, and then now, yeah, he's out until, he said after the international break, but I don't think he means this one. I think he means the next one, like October time, when he's not going to be back. Which, do you know what, as well? Because he's a great shot stopper, he's a great keeper, but he's not only that, he's a good outfield player as well. Not that we've played him in centre half, but we might as well. We could be soon if things don't improve. But no, in terms of he acts like an extra defender in terms of they can use him. Somebody's passing as well, like the passes into the middle of the park that he can find. Other goalkeepers. I mean, you see Ethan Horvath now is playing, and he's diabolical in comparison to
Cardiff's third choice, isn't he? Cardiff's third choice keeper.
Jimmy, beggars can't be choosers, can they really? But we were begging. We signed 2 players in transfer window, and one were an emergency loan. That's how good that were. Another one were a charity donation by Manchester United. So yeah. But Pierce Charles, fantastic goalkeeper. I'm glad we've kept him.
I was going to say, do you think it's a little bit of a blessing in disguise that he picked up a knock? You never want your players to be injured, but there were a strong chance if he were fit and firing, he could have been plucked from you, and that's you. That's all your main boys got, other than Bannon, obviously, who isn't worth anything in terms of a sale.
No.
So there's only Charles really that's an asset to you at the minute, and he's going to stay.
Well, you tried to take the other one offers in Bailey Cadamartri, apparently, with a low ball £1 million offer, which I thought were a bit naughty, but
beggars and choosers, mate. Beggars and choosers.
Come on to transfer windows and stuff in a second.
Well, yeah, but Gassama going for 2 mil, just 2.1, whatever it was. Masaba 800. You're not getting the value because you need the money in. So I don't mind if we have had that pop at Bailey Cadamarchi, then I'm all for it because it's housery of the highest level, isn't it? So you go on, you draw with Bolton in the cup and squeeze through on penalties. What happened at Stoke game? What were it? Is that where you feel like you've returned to type a little bit as to how you expect to play this season?
Well, that were the whistles, weren't it? That were the whistle protests that we had. So for those that didn't know, first 5 minutes they were an unofficial protest. Obviously, the trust didn't. Just for backstory, the Sheffield Wednesday Trust have kind of took up the mantle of trying to organise all these protests and things. They've got a bit of cash together. People have donated loads of money and everything, but because they've been working closely with the EFL and the FSA, they've not been. They can't be seen to be just disrupting games. So it's something that kind of went around on social media and stuff to be, blowing whistles for the first 5 or 10 minutes. I think the trust did acknowledge that was going to happen, but they said, if you're going to do it, just don't do it longer than 5 minutes, really. Just do it, and you kind of make your point. Yeah. So everyone were kind of waiting, people took whistles in and stuff. There was loud whistles for those first 5 minutes. What we didn't bank on was Stoke scoring within about 65 seconds or whatever it was from the off. And I think what happened were they were all the whistles. There was an announcement over the tannoy, and I think it just took everyone's kind of concentration. Yeah. And I think, to be fair play to Stoke. If you're their gaffer, you're going to say, look, this is what's going to happen at the start. You've got to be 110 mile an hour from the gun.
Yeah,
and you've got to try and do something whilst it's a bit
chaotic,
a bit hostile or chaotic. Yeah, exactly. And they did that, and they scored, and everyone were like, well, that was shit. So it kind of just, he just knocked the stuffing out of us. And then, I think we come back into the game. Stoke didn't get out of first gear, in all honesty. They were just cruising. And then same thing, second half kicks off. They scored after 20 seconds of the second half. And you think, well, whatever team talk were at half time, one, it didn't work. Yeah. But two, it's straight out of the window. and then it finishes 3-0. It was just a bit, I think again, like I said for the Leicester game, I think we got a little bit of false hope after beating Bolton. And I know it's only League One Bolton, but we put the kids out, and it was a bit like, oh, wait a minute, like the kids aren't as bad as what we first thought, kind of thing. You know, if we need to use them, well, they might be all right. But then, we just come crashing down to earth a little bit, and we're terrible at home anyway, to be honest. And I know it shouldn't really carry on into the next season, but saying that, it's still all the same players, no new players to come in. So I don't know if that's anything to do with it. But do you know what? The result were, again, secondary to kind of the protests and stuff like that. And I must say as well, we were very, very quiet at the Stoke game as a fan base, just really, really quiet. I don't know what it is, with apathy setting in or something.
I think from the outside looking in, it appears, why wouldn't you be dejected and feel a little bit hopeless in terms of where the club's going? I mean, from the outside, it feels like you're making a lot of noise, and it's understandable. And I'm not. It's a difficult line to walk for me here, because I don't want to sort of portray that I'm overly sympathetic to your cause, but nobody really likes to see what's happening at any club, to be honest. They're not our tears that you're drinking now.
There's still quite a few left, so we're all right.
But nobody likes to see it. Some blades will be on this. That'll be saying, get him gone and all this. We want him to shut down. I hope he stays in charge for the next 10 years. But most people enjoy the rivalry and think it adds to the spice of the football calendar. And the majority of us with sensible heads on will agree. I hate the fixture. I hate playing you. And I think when it comes to this season particularly, when certainly if we're still rudderless like we are, then I'm going to be dreading it. But these are bridges that we'll come to, and that's the highs and lows of football, isn't it? And we add to each other's roller coaster, and with one
Jimmy,
without the other.
I would hate it if we were in a one club city. If we were in
right.
Leeds or someone like that. It's just I can't imagine. I mean, even Ipswich have to force a rivalry with someone that's about 70 miles away, and they say they've got a big rivalry. They haven't. Like when it splits families and stuff like that is a proper rivalry.
Yeah,
you've got to work, and I got to work, and there's United fans, there's Wednesday fans, there's both sets, and any normal kind of season. Obviously, this season's probably a bit different, but any other normal season, it's always, you can tell which team's won or lost on a Monday morning just based on kind of most people's emotions and stuff like that, and whether you want to talk to them or not, and everyone's kind of gloating Sheffield double and all stuff like that. That's what it's all about. So, and I said it last time I came on, the worst thing is the fact that you're feeling sorry for us. That is the worst thing, because you shouldn't be like that. We should be slinging shit at each other constantly, and going at each other and banter and things. And I mean, look, it's kind of a little bit like that because of your state that you're in at the moment, and we're probably going to be arguing who's worse.
We're worse.
It's us, and you're saying it's you, whereas I thought it was going to be just a one way street, really, and a bit of
so did I.
For you.
So did I. That was the point of this show, for me to throw stuff at you and say, "Ha ha! Look at you and look at me now. We're below you." It's unbelievable, mate. Unbelievable. So, I mean, you get done by Stoke 3, and like you said, atmosphere's poor at Hillsborough. But then you go to Wrexham, and you go 2-0 down, and it's this sort of thing that makes me think, what? There's a bit of bite about you, and there shouldn't be. You've no right to turn up anywhere in this league at the minute with the lack of quality that you've got in your overall team and your squad. And this is just my opinion. I don't mean it as a United fan. I just think the quality of the players left at the club shouldn't really be competing. And that don't mean you can't nick a point here or there, but when you're 2-0 down against Wrexham, who've spent, how much have Wrexham spent? Is it around, well, it's into the tens of millions this season to level themselves up. They've got players like Lewis O'Brien. They're signing really good players for the level.
Signed Broadhead. They've got Kiefer Moore, who scored twice.
Kiefer Moore, who scored more goals individually for Wrexham than we have scored as an entire team this season. I
think he scored today for Wales as well. So I think he's got 4 times as many goals as you've got goals in the league, which is just mad. But anyway,
okay. Listen, I take that squarely on the chin because it's a marathon, not a sprint, and I have every faith that we will certainly not be underneath you come the end of the season. But you can, you've got to milk it for what it's worth for now. I understand that. So
I'm just looking now. They've spent about 25 million. Wrexham have Broadhead, Doyle, O'Brien, Cody, Kiefer Moore, Ryan Hardy as well. Obviously, they've got Josh Windass, who's injured. They didn't pay anything for him because he just walked out the door and just went straight to Wrexham.
Yeah.
But I mean, just on that fixture as well, by the way, I just want to say, massive thanks to Wrexham, really, and Ryan McElhenney, which, I mean, they had a bit of a PR disaster initially because they said that we couldn't bring the banners in and things for the protest, which, the Trust have always spoke to the club beforehand and tried to organise these things. This straight up no, which obviously then got around all the like Wrexham fan groups and stuff. And then, they did a bit of U-turn and then Rob McElhenney kind of got involved, and obviously the black and gold that. Until it's sold is a bit of a strap line, and they've got a gold third kit that they had last season, and they rolled all them out, 25 quid to buy one, and all the profits and stuff went to the Sheffield Wednesday Trust, which I think £37,500 it was announced yesterday. So everyone, all the Wrexham fans either wore it if they had it, or they bought it if they didn't have it. And that was, a massive.
So some Wednesdayites wore it, didn't they? I saw some Wednesdayites wearing United sponsored shirt. Yeah, shirt sponsor. Nice to see some Wednesdayites with a United emblazoned across the.
Do you know what as well? When we talk about kind of this plight and stuff, and you use the, when the fan base comes together, it's really hard not to use the word United. And obviously we have to not use it, but it's a word that you use.
We all need to be together.
Honestly, mate, it's true. Amount of times I've tried to, you're going to say it and you do exactly what you've just said there. You think your brain's going, fucking God, don't say that word. Don't say it. You have to use something else instead.
Oh, dear. Oh.
But no, do you know what? Fair play to them, though. It was quite funny, though, because they were, we were chanting and they all stood up and clapped and stuff. And then we went down the other end and scored at that point to make it 2-1, which was quite.
Oh, apt. I thought it was 2-0 to Wrexham. Were it 2-0? And then you brought it back?
It were 2-0.
Oh, sorry. You went down and scored to make it 2-1.
Yeah. When we were chanting and when they were clapping us, and even they were holding Chancery out, messages and stuff like that. I just thought it was quite funny that they went down and scored. But no, you're right. Like, it's weird as well, because I just mentioned we're going to be struggling in the second half of the games, and obviously that one we could have won it in the last kick of the game. Charlie McNeil 1-on-1 with the keeper. He's just got to smash it low and hard. And he's hit it straight at the keeper, and you're thinking, that would have been it. First win of the season. You don't know what could have happened there. As it happened, still, really happy with a point. In that game as well, Pedersen switched it up. We were back 5 to begin with, and he went to a back 4 for the second half. And clearly, Wrexham just didn't know how to deal with it.
Right.
And then, we'll go on to the next game in a bit, but obviously tactical decisions don't always work out. I think he's a bit of a tinker man, and I think sometimes you have to just leave it as it is sometimes. But obviously it clearly worked in the Wrexham game, and we built a different side, and I think it is that kind of that battling performance that you need. But the problem is we're only 4 games in now. This were only the 3rd league game of the season. You can't you can't expect them performances for the full duration of the season. No. And we didn't even win the game. Do you know what I mean? So I think we're going to get to a point where we're just playing within ourselves, just purely just to survive, as in physically. Not. I don't mean like in the league table.
I was on with Callum Fowler the other day, and he was saying I can't see him getting more than 20 points all season. And I'm like, come on, they're going to get. And I don't want to be the one that's championing you for more than 20 points. But he's like, seriously, when the season gets up and running, and things are like back to back, where are they going to get 20 points from? He says against us, it's a lottery every time, no matter what team either of us put out. It's a lottery as to which way it goes, just because of the X factor of what it is. He says, but other than that, who do you see him going and turning over seriously? So
20 points is 5 wins and 5 draws. That's how you can amass 20 points, and all right, we've got 1 draw, so we've got to have 5 more wins and 4 draws. I know you can get there in other ways, but I couldn't tell you the 5 teams that we're going to beat, and I couldn't tell you the other 4 teams that we're going to. I mean, I would probably pick up more draws, but I couldn't give you 2, 3, 4 wins this season. I really can't. I mean, I know that's not how it works, and it's not played on paper, but when you look and we can't beat Wrexham, I know they splashed the cash, but if anything, this is the time where you'd beat them. You'd like to think as the season goes on, those better players are going to gel and things like that, and they're going to get better. So now is probably the time where you are going to beat them. When we come to play them at our place, they'd like to think that they're a lot a lot better,
Yeah.
a lot better, the best that they've been kind of all season. So yeah, I couldn't tell you where the wins are going to come. I just think that we just haven't got anything. If we don't go ahead in the first 10, 15, 20 minutes, then I just think we haven't got anything later. You mentioned the strength in depth. You look at the bench, and I know they've done great against Bolton. I know they've done great against Leeds, but they're totally different games. They're just one-off games. When you're looking in the league, and when you're behind, which we're going to be in a lot of games this season, and you look and you go, expecting these youngsters that have got literally, some of them not even made their league debut yet. Certainly not a full league debut. And you're looking at them to change the game and do something different. It's just not going to happen. Kycker came on at the weekend against Swansea after about 65, 70 minutes. And then the others came on 80 minutes. 2 of them came on. We didn't even use 5 subs. So he clearly doesn't trust the I mean, when he made the subs, we were 1-0 down when Ugbo came on, and then we made the subs, and then literally straight after we got 2-0 down. So it was 1-0 up until 80 minutes. So he's obviously, as a manager, he's thinking, I can't risk bringing these youngsters on because I could lose the game. As it happens, we lost it anyway. But that's a real worry. You can't. They've no strength in depth. No, I don't want to say no plan B, because I'm sure he has got a plan B, but there's no
way to change it. No way to change it, is there?
Them 11 players that come out, the starting 11, we're expecting them all to put in the best performance that they can, because if someone's having a bit of a shit day, they get pulled and they bring a substitute on. We haven't got that luxury, so they've all got to be firing every single week, and it's just too much of an ask. That is the big problem. It's the bigger picture that is the huge problem.
And even when you get them going 110% for a game, they soon gas out, don't they? It's soon like the adrenaline dump must be incredible when they've just gone hell for leather. It's not sustainable over 2, 3, 4 games, never mind a season. So it's really tough to manage, because usually you'd have a bigger squad that could pan that out and sort of manage minutes a little bit better. But you just haven't got that luxury, have you? But you talked about the league.
We've got 13 players, 13 fit senior professionals.
It's crazy.
And I mean, I'm including Harry Amass in that as well. Obviously, he's the lad that we brought in. He's played a couple of games at Premier League level last season. But before he came in, it literally was 12 fit first team players that we had. And I think in the actual squad, including the players who've got injured as well, I think there's only 14 players over the age of 21. I mean, look, last season we all said we need to bring the average age down, but this is taking the mic a little bit now,
Where does Amass play then? What's his best position?
Left back. He's come in, so it's funny because that's probably the one game changer. Yeah, absolutely rifling some diagonals from left back.
So Max Lowe shifts inside then, does he?
Probably, yeah. It's funny as well because that's probably one position where you'd think, we've actually got a player that's doing all right there. But I think we've got Deshaun Bernard, who is out for a long time. He should have been back in September. That was the prognosis last season when he got injured. But he got asked. Pedersen got asked after the game at the weekend, and he just said a long time. So that's not very promising. So I think really. Max Lowe, we're going to have a makeshift centre back playing at centre back alongside Dom Iorfa, who's a bit of a liability himself. So it's just going to be a bit of a. We've already got to the point of square pegs in round holes
in front of Evan Horvath, Cardiff's third choice keeper.
Biggest gloves in the EFL, by the way. It looks like he's got a pair of oven gloves on. If you've seen it, have a look. They look ridiculous. They're not good either because he's. Okay. Someone referred to him as a patter cake. Every shot comes, he pats everything down.
Oh, does he? Right. Okay.
Can't catch anything. And
bit of a basketballer, is he? Yeah. Nice. Just, okay. Good to know.
He's not great. He's not great at all. But I feel really bad kind of digging him out because at the end of the day, we're in no position. And fair play to him for coming to a football club that is on its knees, really, to try and get your game time. But his first game with Wrexham, he didn't cover himself in much glory with the 2 goals that we conceded. And then he did great against Leeds. I don't know if you watched that game. He did all right, but still these points where I think he got a little bit fortunate that just Leeds were that bad, and Calvert-Lewin couldn't hit a cow's arse with a banjo. Certainly after he came on. But yeah, even Horvath again. We are begging, and we in our squad we've got 4 goalkeepers. We actually gave numbers to 4 goalkeepers in our 25-man squad.
Okay.
3 of them are, under the age of, I don't know, 16 or something ridiculous. But yet none of the other 3 aren't professional goalkeepers. So obviously we're allowed to go out and sign Ethan Horvath. But
yeah,
I mean, you always think it's bad when you sign a player, everyone goes on YouTube, don't they? And look,
of course you do. Yeah,
any player can find some clips of him looking good, but all the clips that were going around of him were just him dropping the ball and absolutely dropping some clangers against various
couldn't
clubs.
even put a highlight reel together.
No,
disgraceful.
Not really.
So you talked about the Leeds game, and we'll touch on it very briefly because, like you say, you did beat them, and this one wasn't a case of United fans feeling sorry for you. Everywhere I looked, it was United fans saying, fair play, actually. That's a really good result. With the players that you put out on the day, it wasn't poor Wednesday. It were a case of, actually, sometimes you just have to say, well done. And you put a team of kids out against a very established Leeds side. I know they will say that they put their reserves out, but there were some decent big hitters in that Leeds side who clearly didn't perform on the day, didn't take the chance at all. Farke comes out afterwards, says he's embarrassed. But it was just another example, a little bit like when you came back against Wrexham, that there's a little bit about some of these players. And just on that game particularly, were there anybody that stood out to you that you think, oh, well, we've heard a little bit about him and maybe he could come in and do a bit of a job in first team?
The thing is, that's a difficult one because we spoke about this on our pod at the weekend, and yeah, whilst they've got past Bolton, they've got past Leeds, it was literally just attack against defence against Leeds. I think we had a couple of chances, if that, and we took one of them. But the difference is those players, we literally just lifted the under-21s and put them in that first team, so they play with each other week in week out, so they would know each other, and know kind of where each other are, daft things like know the names. Do you know what I mean? Like they should have that sort of telepathy. But whereas when you try to then integrate them into the first team, it's not as easy. And let's be right, they're not. If they were good enough, we'd have seen them already. We're only seeing them because we are in such a mess that we've kind of got no other option, which I think is good in one way, that there might be a diamond in the rough that we might get and find there. But I think I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I mean, there is one, Ernie Weaver. He's Nicky Weaver's son. He's a centre back. I think he did well enough. He looks like a leader. I think he's the under-21s captain as well. Not saying that he's going to come straight in the side, but he's one that took no shit on that day. Do you know what I mean? He was not afraid to go into some big tackles. And when you come up against some of those Leeds players, that they've got, Nonto later on in the second half, he's a bit of a handful, isn't he? And everyone else that they've got, then he obviously did quite well. I think another player who I've been told about is Will Granger. You probably saw him. He's only 16 years old. He came off the bench, didn't have the betting sponsor on his shirt because he's so young. Yeah. And I forget who it was now. The lad who Leeds have got from Newcastle. What's his name?
Sean Longstaff.
And there was a moment where he's running to the byline, Longstaff, and Granger just leans into him, knocks him over. The ball goes out for a throw into Wednesday, and then Longstaff's giving him both barrels, calling him every word under the sun. And the fact that he got rattled by a 16-year-old kid, just we're all here for it. Do you know what I mean?
We all love that sort of stuff, don't we? To be fair,
I've been told about him as a youngster. We had Caelan Cole Cadamarchi, who's gone to Man City for $1.5 million. He's only 16, and the other player behind him was Will Granger. So in terms of like talent in the youth ranks, and Will Granger plays up. He plays in the under-21s at 16-year-old. So if you're doing that at any level, I think you've got something about you. So yeah, he's probably one to have a cheeky £1 million bid on in January for United, I guess.
It's not rattled you though, has it? It's not rattled you.
Wait a minute.
All right, okay. We'll see. It's a marathon, not a sprint, pal. So then, what's gone wrong against Swansea then? So first team has come back in and show them how it's really done. With Sheffield Wednesday, we're not meant to be winning games. This is how we do it, young'uns. What's happened against Swansea City?
Dr. Robotnik scored and Ronald McDonald for Swansea. So
I hate that Ronald. I hate him, me.
Yeah, he's not great. Well, I mean, look, we can't, getting beat by Swansea, it's a regular occurrence for us Sheffield clubs, isn't it, to be fair? So I think he scored against you, didn't he, Ronald?
Yeah, he did, yeah. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, thought so.
Like a rat.
Now, again, in one of those games, we set off quite well, actually. I thought we did all right in the first half. But as every kind of 5 minutes went on, I think our stranglehold in the game just loosened. And then in the second half, we came out and we just looked a different side, really. We couldn't really get hold of the ball. And I think we looked tired, to be fair. They got a goal and you watch it back and, the keeper's got beat at the near post. Perhaps should have done a lot better. But you just look at the way that they've just cut through the defence like a knife through butter. The second goal was even worse, to be fair. Just not picking your man up. What happens is they have a runner on the ball's played across the 18-yard box and they have a runner wide. So everyone has to shift across in order to pick him up, because for all the world, the ball's just going to be slipped in and cross the 6-yard box. Yeah. Because everyone moves across, but then Dom Iorfa's just daydreaming and he leaves a massive gap. To be fair to it's Ronald, I think is how you pronounce it, but we'll call him Ronald for the purpose of this show. To be fair to him, he gets in between Max Lowe and Dom Iorfa. What a striker should do. Takes one touch with his left foot to control it, and his next one he swivels and hits it off the post. So you can't really complain about the finish, but it's just in the manner. It's just that kind of lapse in concentration, which I think we're going to get a lot this season. And then when you're at this level, that's all you need, isn't it? One goal like that. I know that was the second goal, but that just finishes off, and we're just struggling big time.
No, I get it, mate. I get it. It's frustrating, isn't it? When you think like you can hang on a little bit, and they're just nipping.
I mean, to be fair, there was only one winner at that point. That goal came on 81 minutes, I think it was, but we looked knackered. We couldn't even get out of our own half. We're asking, Bailey Cadamartri and Jamal Lowe to do the unthinkable job of like leading that line. And when you're not getting the service and you're just asking them to run and run and run, it's a thankless task. And
it is.
And it just, they're not even feeding off scraps because there ain't no scraps to feed off. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, we need to score in the first 5 or 10 minutes to actually, get ahead in the game and then try and hang on, I think. But
we need to just score.
Scoring, it's a problem.
We need to just score, mate. That's our problem at the minute. So you've talked about your start to the season, and I appreciate you giving it, because when I'm asking you about that, I genuinely haven't got. Obviously, I'm aware of your results, but I don't really know how the games have gone. Whereas you may have more of an idea with split families and stuff like that. But just for a whistle stop for anybody watching that don't realise just how bad it's gone for Sheffield United, and from outside looking in. The big mistake for us, and it is a mistake in hindsight, but a lot of us thought it was at the time, was the manager change. Sacking Chris Wilder after getting 92 points is a bold call, and that's the nicest way I can put it.
Just on that, though, before we go on, Jimmy, as a Wednesday fan, I thought that, looking back, it's a massive mistake getting rid of him. I hate Wilder. I loved it when he got the sack. I'm not
but that's part of it. You hate it because you know how good he is for us.
Well, it's that and the dancing on the tables and all that stuff. Just not really. You can't have the last laugh when he's now not got a job. But
I think he's laughing actually at the minute. But go on.
Well, probably, yeah. But in taking me Wednesday hat off, I think for me, had you have beaten Sunderland in that playoff final, I think he should have gone anyway. Because I don't think he's a Premier League manager, and it's weird that he lost, and I think he should have kept his job. But if he'd won, he should have lost his job, because I think he should have brought in a Premier League manager. I don't think if you're thinking about staying in the Premier League, I know he's done it once, but I don't think you'd had a better chance without him, basically. But whereas I see him more as a Championship manager, and also I think he's better when he hasn't got any money. Like when you've got some sort of budget to spend, either he or the club can't seem to spend that money. Whereas, I just thought. He should have gone if he'd have won, basically.
I think historically we've not done well with money as a club. He often gets tarred with that brush.
It's nice to have some money, Jimmy.
Yeah, it would, mate, to be fair. And ultimately, some may agree with that, by the way. A lot of even Blades will say he's not really done it in Premier League. We did finish 9th with Chris Wilder in charge, our best Premier League finish in years and years. But also we've had some poor times in the Premier League under Wilder. I take that too. And we're trying to steer away from Chris Wilder conversations because it splits the fan base a little bit. As much as people,
where do you sit on it?
well, I don't know whether that's a Saki comment or not, because I don't think we should have sacked him in the first place. I would have him back tomorrow, but we're trying to actively steer away from them sort of conversation because it's so unlikely to happen. And what good does it do now to sort of, if there'd not have been a fallout about Danny Rohl, then a lot of Wednesdayites might be thinking, oh, I wish he'd come back. If a new owner comes in, we'd love to get Danny Rohl back. He'd take the fallout of the equation because there were no fallout with Chris Wilder. You'd still have a split fan base who were saying, there's no point even talking about it because it's not happening. This is the situation we're in now. So we are without Chris Wilder. They're bringing a new manager, not against it, not against sort of going in a new direction per se, and we'll get behind the club, but it's clearly not worked. And we're going to the first game against Bristol City. All we'd recruited at that point was a development player in Ukaki, who was a right winger that nobody's heard of, and that's fine because you don't mind that as long as they're not brought in to be a first teamer. We brought in Louis Barry. I think Louis Barry were here at that stage on loan, which is fine. We're all happy with that. Tyler Bindon, we're happy with that as well. They are unproven at the level, but they've performed really well in the league below, and you think, okay, steps us up a little bit. I'm not quite sure whether Bindon were in at that point, but anyway, whatever had happened, Reece Norrington-Davies started as a centre-half, and we were not ready. We did not have the players. We'd lost Vinny Souza. We were in turmoil in terms of let a lot of players go. All the loans had gone back. We weren't ready. We were so weak in certain positions. And you think about, we should have had enough on the day to beat Bristol City. I still stand by that. But they got an early goal. Gusema fouls one of their players on edge at box. Scott Twine steps up and can put it, you'll know.
Called that, by the way. At the time when I was watching it, I said, this is going in top bins.
So did we in crowd. I think 50% at crowd. Whoever'd seen Scott Twine play before saw that it was centrally lined up about 23 yards from goal, can pick a corner. Michael Cooper's got to stand at one side of that and say, look, mate, if you put it in that postage stamp, you can have it. And he did. And that would always, if he'd have stood at the other side at goal, Twine had to put it in the other top corner as well. So he's just a specialist when it comes to that, isn't he? It was just a really sweet free kick that got him off to a great start. And from there, from like 10 minutes in, we peppered him for first half. Absolutely hammered him. We're thinking, I know we're 1-0 down here, but this looks really good. Going forward, we were really impressive. Loads of nice little intricate passes and stuff. Anyway, we score 1-1. Ty Campbell, I think it was. My memory's all a blur, but I'm pretty sure Ty Campbell scores.
Yeah.
And then they go down to the other end just before half time, and they sucker punches with a clinical, really well executed break. This isn't a dig at Bristol City, by the way. It's just they caught us. We knew that we were sort of left wanting a little bit defensively. We hadn't taken his chances, and then we're going 2-1 down at half time. Second half.
To be fair with that goal, you're not expecting right back to just rifle one into the bottom corner.
No, you're not.
The ball comes across. It's like it's with forward, then it's out to another forward, then it's the midfielder, then it goes out to right back. Ball keeps getting shifted across, which really good move. And you'd probably think back of yourself that wait a minute, this is going in Rosette here. But it just
really clinical,
low and hard, and it's a ready finish. To be fair,
really clinical, good finish. Don't take anything away from him or anything like that. I think it was just unlucky on our part that he hit such a sweet strike, and we were 2 goals down to 2 really good goals. And then they come out second half and bang, they hit us straight away, 3-1. We hadn't even got his bearings, and then it quickly goes to 4, and we were all at sea. But we come out of that game and we think, well, if he gets defensive reinforcements and he can pick them up, then we're laughing here. Because there's some really nice nuggets of play that we could all see, and we looked really good, certainly for that back end at first half. Anyway, we're going to Birmingham, a heavily rotated side, and it's very different. It's not a case of, the Bristol City game, they deserved to beat us, but it was never a 4-1 game. Well, this was never a 2-1 game to Birmingham. This was a 4-5er to Birmingham. We were second best in every department. Gusema scores an absolute worldie from halfway line.
Isn't it annoying and all when you score a worldie and you lose game as well? Because that goal will never be spoken about at all.
Well, in
Sheffield United's history, really.
You're right. Me and George were watching it on Watch Along, and we were laughing when he scored because we did not deserve that equaliser at all. And if you're going to get an equaliser, then it's brilliant for it to be a worldie, but they deservedly beat us, and it should have been more. But then you think, we'll give benefit of doubt because it's a heavily rotated side. We're going to Swansea next, and we have to get some. Well, it were pathetic against Swansea. Absolutely pathetic. And he'd already come out saying we need some more bodies, and they'd started to get a few bodies through the door at that point. So we're getting stronger on the pitch in terms of quality, and the performance were abject. I don't think we created anything. I'm not sure whether
I'm not going to lie, Jimmy. Matt, who I do the podcast with, obviously I was away at this point, and I think you do the show straight 90 after 90. You do, don't you? Straight after. And Matt, my co-host, just sent me the link to your show and just said, just watch the first 5 minutes. It's absolutely class.
No, and, that's what we do, isn't it? That's what we do. Mate, I don't mind that.
You came on the show, and you're like really like. I forgot how you start your show, but you're like,
what's happening, Blades? And welcome back to the Blades Ramble.
And you came on and you were like, what's happening, Blades?
What is happening? What is happening?
You sounded so broken.
Oh, mate, I was at that point. And it could have gone then for me, but we get Millwall at home, and then, it's Millwall are always horrible to play, and they bullied us, and they went 1-0 up, rightly so, and we were awful. Really terrible first half performance, and a lot of people say it were a game of two halves. It weren't. It's recency bias, because for the last 10 minutes we were good, and we were peppering them for the last 10 minutes, but it could have easily been 2, possibly 3 by that point. He came out after the game saying, because he was questioned by Andy Giddins, and he says, well, what did you do differently? Well, I didn't say anything at half time, so they know that. What do you mean you didn't say anything at half time? It was probably the worst half that we've had, Millwall first half. And he didn't say anything to him at half time. I think he was trying to be like, so they knew their jobs anyway, and they've just decided to do it. Well, it backfired on him massively, that, because fan base took it as, why aren't you taking the bull by the horns and doing something about this absolute mess? So we lost to Millwall.
But I think you're so used to having a Wilder type manager, and even going back even further, a Warnock who were like really outspoken, like really all about the passion and stuff like that. Whereas he's just not like that at all. And I think it's a change. You've got to, from a fan base perspective, you've got to just forget about that. Like, that's not every single manager is a Gary Megson for us, if you know what I mean. And where they say whenever a manager gets sacked, everyone's always like, oh, they need to be doing this. And when we had Darren Moore, it's all about
we've been spoiled.
He's clapping along to Io Silver Lining. As fans, you want that passion there, but sometimes you don't see every manager doing that.
No,
not
you
every
don't.
Successful manager is beating chest and kissing badge, if you know what I mean.
It's true, and we've been spoilt with Wilder, and I think a lot of us know it, and we knew it at the time even, that you get somebody who's not only a huge fan of your club and one of you, but he's very, very successful at doing it as well, and he's a born leader. And that if Shu were on, a bit like when Megson were in charge, but you love one of your own being, certainly if they're a good boss, you love them being in dugout, because there's no like it really. So it's been really it's been a really tough sort of adjustment for us, and it's just not working, which isn't adding to the sort of let's embrace this new change. Well, anyway, we're obvious how poor we were after Millwall, so the board start pulling the finger out of their pockets and do support the manager, and we start getting some really decent signings in. First it's Danny Ings, then it's Tanganga, then it's Chong, and then we rock up to Middlesbrough and Tanganga starts. He is some signing, by the way, for us. I still don't know how we've done it in a lot of ways, in terms of I can't believe other teams haven't come in for him. I can't believe he's been so willing to join us in the state that we're in, because, yes, it'll turn around. I can't
believe Millwall got him on a free, for starters, to be honest.
There's something not quite right there, I'm sure. But anyway, far be it from me to speculate. But it was just an odd deal. I didn't think he'd leave London. I always thought that was the reason he went to Millwall rather than another top championship team or a bottom end Premier League team, was because he liked his surroundings, and you sometimes get that with players. But anyway, it ended up, you've seen Borough game, haven't you? So it were a one-man defence of Japhet Tanganga versus Middlesbrough, and how that was not 2, 3 or 4. Was down to Tanganga really, and a little bit of Mike Cooper. So we have been awful, really, really bad. And then the board's gone further on the transfer deadline day, and this is the only thing that gives me a glimmer of hope, really, is that we had I think a really strong deadline day, which meant it was a really good window overall. We also kept Gus Hamer, which was a huge worry amongst the fan base, and because he were close to going. And now you look at the squad, and I think a lot of managers in this league will be envious of the squad that we've got. We're just propping up the league at the minute, and the only crumb of comfort I've got is the board will not allow this to continue. They can't. It's just so counterproductive. So he either gets results or he goes, and we will get somebody else in. But I was interested to hear what you thought of what were going on.
Yeah, well, I've looked at your transfer business and stuff, and one sticks out for me: star player Mihail Palenda-Hujnik-Bolikov that you've signed from your
starts for Wednesday.
Outfit.
Starts for Wednesday.
Well, you could start for Wednesday, to be honest.
I don't know about that. Don't know about that.
I've sseen your little twinkle toes. I'm sure.
Well, you know. Some say I look a bit like Callum Patterson, but there you go. It's just the greater side.
Well, I think that's where the similarities start and end. I think, to be
honest. Good.
Do you like fishing in it as well?
No. Only for bites. Only for Wednesday bites.
There we go. No, I mean, in all seriousness, I think total surprise that you're down there. I didn't expect it one bit. I didn't think you'd be. I didn't have you down as finishing top 2 again. To be fair, but I did not think you'd be 4 games in and not won a game. It's mad. I mean, I do want to touch on this AI model for your transfers and kind of get your thoughts on what you think about it, because I feel what they've actually done is gone on Footy Manager and they've stuck filters on Bulgaria and they've just can't turn it off. Because
they have. That's exactly what they've done.
You've signed 3 players from Bulgarian league.
And it's not even that you've put it like to 15 plus on certain stats and you've just got the cream of the crop. They're all dashed out. You haven't scouted them fully, and they're just random players that you're hoping are decent. The only filter we've definitely got on is like under 20. That's the only thing that we've got. So
I mean, look, they might work out, but to come out and say it's AI and then signing 3 players from same league and 2 from same team, it doesn't scream to me AI. There'd be someone from Kosovo, North Macedonia. Do you know what I mean? They'd all be from absolutely all these obscure nations, and you'd probably think, actually, yeah, maybe there is something about it. But to sign 3 teams from Bulgarian teams, it just screams. It sounds like us. We are signing up Watford players, Portuguese Watford players. That's what we use to sign.
It screams to me that James Board, who were heavily involved with James Board being his name, B-O-R-D, who was either on the board or heavily involved with the consortium that took over, had a stake in Botdev Plovdiv, who we've signed 2 players from, interestingly. So call me cynical, but I would say there may be an ulterior motive here as to why we signed 2 players from that team. So that is potentially one reason. Have
you seen anything of these players at all?
We saw Ukaki and Caceres in pre-season, and and Jeff Caceres has now been sold. Not gone out on loan. He's been sold. And he was sold so that we could free up the 4th ESC slot for Nils Zetterstrom, who's come in, who has actually been scouted, believe it or not, because a few of us have seen him play. But yeah, we've got Chris Nachukwu, who came in with Caceres, who's never been seen. I think
just he played on this Caceres, by the way, Peru, England, Scotland.
Yeah. Dunfermline, I think, innit?
Dunfermline, yeah, he's probably thinking, what the hell am I doing here?
Honestly, mate, honestly. This is how random and uninspiring our transfer window started off. And this is while you're selling Vinny Souza, and then you sell an El Ahmed Hodzic, and you're linked with a Nils Zetterstrom, who looks decent. Malmo, 20-year-old, big centre-half, raw, but decent. You don't want to put all your cards on him, though, do you? You don't want to put all your chips in on a 20-year-old from Norway just because we've got rid of an L. So we needed to go proven, and we did that, to be fair. So whether it's through panic, which I think it is, I think it's a panic from the board in terms of how terrible we've been on the field, or it's always been the strategy to sort of play the long game, which would be a load of rubbish. I'm glad we've got the squad that we've got, because it now gives me confidence that even if Sayers doesn't do it, that whoever replaces him will certainly have a fighting chance of getting us up the table. I've no concerns that we'll be in relegation trouble. It's just, have we written the season off already? Because every game that ticks by, we are losing ground, and I certainly think automatics are out of the question already, and I think playoffs will be drifting if we don't make a change soon. So it's the only
kind of thing you can look at, though, is that the teams that have come down. Southampton haven't lit it up yet, have
No,
they?
they haven't.
Ipswich certainly haven't. They're really struggling. And it was on Leicester. What are they? 3 wins out of 4. Right, fair enough. They're up there. But what I mean is the teams that you kind of expect to be up there are always the teams that get relegated, and they're not. So are Middlesbrough or West Brom, Stoke, are they going to keep firing on the way that they are? So
Probably not.
That's probably the only thing in that there's no team. Right now, Middlesbrough 4 wins out of 4, and they might be that surprise outfit.
They weren't all that though.
They're still good. But what I mean is like there's defeats in those teams, if you know what I mean. So that's probably the only crumb of comfort that you've had your 4 defeats first 4 games. I mean, look, you need to pick up a win first game back after this international break, don't you? To be fair, but I was going to talk on Danny Ings. What do you make to signing him? I know he has been good in the past, but have you got high hopes for him, or
really
what do you make to him?
Yeah, really pleased with him. I'm not sure he's coming to be the man, but because we obviously Tyrese Campbell's firmly asserted himself as number 1. None of our team have pulled up any trees this season, as you can probably imagine by not only results but performances as well. So there's been nobody other than Japhet Tanganga in his first and only game for Sheffield United. Nobody has covered themselves in glory. So everybody's place should be up for grabs, and Danny Ings will hopefully see that as well. Danny Ings, I'm really pleased with. He came on against Borough, looked lively, got a shot away which were deflected wide rather than off target. I think if he can get fit, he's a real run for being our sole striker. He's 33. He's not going to be prime Danny Ings, but he's the closest thing. We were saying this, and we've said it for a little while, he's the closest thing to Billy Sharp that we're going to get in terms of a leader from the front, a little menace up top who can be a bit difficult for defenders. Just get him in box, get the ball to his feet, and I think you're laughing. The other one that I think a lot of United fans are really excited about, and it shouldn't jump off the page at you, but Ben Mee coming in, 35-year-old, but centre half. We needed a leader. We brought all these kids in. We've brought new players in all over the place, and we had no characters about us. We had nobody that could take the bull by the horns. I fully expect him to take a leadership role, not only behind the scenes in the changing room, but I wouldn't be adverse to seeing him wear captain's armband either, because were he training with you, Ben Mee? Because there were rumours that he were going to be training with you.
No, it wasn't him. It was the lad from Leeds that was training.
Oh, Cooper, Liam Cooper.
Yeah, Cooper. Yeah, his name was linked as well. I mean, I want to. One that does it is Mark McGuinness. I know he's not gone to you from us, and he went via Luton. But
talk to me about him. What do you think about him as a player? Because when I've seen him, he's had a bit of a mistake in him. But obviously now I'm wanting to certainly give him benefit of doubt. But I want to see what we're getting from some. I know you boys really rated him when you had him. So tell me a bit about McGuinness. What we're getting with him.
Yeah, Joe, he's absolutely solid as a centre back. I wouldn't say he's no nonsense. He can play ball a little bit, but he's also, I think he just reads the game really well more than anything else. He's massive in the air. He's heading. He's probably his biggest attribute. But I think when the chips are down, sometimes you kind of need that. And he's a good aerial threat. He scored 1 or 2 goals from corners, which I think in the modern game, set piece goals are where you kind of win your games, aren't they? Really, and not. In open play, most teams tend to cancel each other out now with the tactics and everything. But if you can score a goal from a corner, it's like a
advantage.
Yeah. You look at Arsenal, for example, score every time they get one, don't they? They obviously put massive emphasis on it.
Yeah.
So he's good at that. We're a real fan favourite when we had him. Obviously, we got him on loan from Cardiff. We had him when we were down in League One. And he went back in the January. They had him for a season-long loan. He went back in January, which were really disappointing because we wanted to keep him, really. And he was one of them ones that we thought, actually, we should go out and sign. But then he went back to Cardiff, and then 10 million, I think, Luton paid for him in the end, which is a big fee. Obviously, it didn't really work out for him at Luton. But no, I think he's a great player. Like I said, we as Wednesday fans, we loved him. And you should never fall in love with a lone player.
No, you shouldn't. We've done that before, plenty. But he appeared to buy into it, to what you were doing though as well, didn't he? I think, to be fair to you, it wasn't just a case of a one-way thing. I think that's why a lot of Wednesdayites are so disappointed, because he's signed for us basically, and it's a little bit like us. We don't. It's not the same rivalry, but we don't like Gibbs White going to Forest. We don't like James McAtee going to Forest because we've got a bit of a thing with Nottingham Forest. But it's when players cross the divide of Sheffield, it's a big thing, isn't it? And And if he's
not that many, don't you look back? There isn't that many that have played for both Wednesday United. You do have to go back quite some time for
you might have forgotten about. Yeah, you might have forgotten about some more successful ones because you like to blink that out, don't you? Really, but yeah, there has been a few. There's been a few, but
it's not masses. You know, you'd think there'd be more, but you know, when you think about it, you know, certainly when there's a lot of players that have gone from Wednesday to Rotherham, for example, you know, being so close. I mean, you talked about there about Tanganga and his links with London. You think he's going to stay down there, and it's a talking point as well. You know, in terms of geographically, Sheffield, I think you know. You've got Manchester, big airport there. That you know, these links, you know, attract a lot of players, and it's easy for owners to come in and stuff like that. If you've got owners from here, there, and everywhere, whereas Sheffield is just it's not great, is it?
Do you have the same argument in your fan base? Because when we were going through an ownership ownership discussion, if you like, on social media and everywhere that you look and there's ownership sort of discussion, there was some talk of, well, Sheffield don't have an airport, so that really plays into it. Is that same sort of discussion points on the blue side as well?
I mean, you'd like to think that it won't matter, would you? But it must do, surely. Like, you know, when you're a good hour and a half, aren't you, away from an airport, and in Sheffield, whichever way you look, you know, whether you're going up to Leeds, Bradford, or across to Manchester, or down to East Midlands, you're not on the doorstep, are you?
No, you're not.
Doncaster, but that's all shut down. They opened it again. I can't remember now, but they tried it, didn't they? That little Mickey Mouse airport, which I don't live a million miles away from, to be fair. But it probably is a factor in it, and I think it's something that as fans they forget. You know, like, oh, you should just go to this club. You know, I'm sure if you're like, Middlesbrough, Newcastle, all them teams up there, I bet they probably have a similar sort of thing. You know, you're miles away from anything, aren't you? I know they're big cities and big clubs and everything else, but you do seem to find a lot of players seem to just stick around London and all those clubs around there, and don't really venture north much at all.
I'm gonna jump into the comments in a minute, mate, before we finish. Just while we're on like airports and ownership and stuff like that, what is the latest with your club? Because obviously we all know, I don't want it to be more of the same sort of thing, because last it was he wants 100 million for club, but the latest name to be linked that I've heard was John Textor. Where is that? Where's that come from? What's the sort of latest on any interest in Wednesday?
Yeah, well, before yesterday, if you'd asked me the question, I'd be just saying he's hanging on. He's getting the club to a level that he can afford, either he can afford or a sustainable level, not competitive, just literally sustainable, that
pay the wages.
Money coming in and the money going out are the same. You know, the wage bill has been absolutely slashed. You know, I know you shouldn't really read, everything that's on the internet is not gospel, but you look on those wage websites, which I don't know where to get the information from, but let's just say it is true for a minute. They had us down as £17 million annual wages last season. They've got it down at around about 9 or 10 million this time around. So just based on that alone, I don't know if that's factually correct, but you're looking at nearly half in terms of wage
it's believable though, isn't it? Even if the figures aren't right, that sort of cut is believable.
Yeah, when
players
you
that have left.
Out, some are going to be more, some are going to be less. But when you average it out, it's probably around about right. So when you say that it's been halved, it sounds about right. When you've lost 13 players and brought 2 in, and one of them we're not even paying any money for him in the Harry Amass deal. Yeah. So when you look at that, I think he's just getting it to a point where he's just going to struggle on. And once you do that, the EFL can't do anything, because they're not there to make sure you're competitive. They're just there to make sure that you survive as a football club. Whether you go straight through the leagues, it don't matter to them one bit, because you'll have other clubs there saying, well, that's not fair. Just because the Sheffield Wednesday, why do they get preferential treatment?
Morecambe, Bury.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like if their owner wants to run them into the ground, then so be it. As long as nobody's losing the job, or they're not doing anything unlawfully. And I feel like that's where we're going to be. Everyone keeps talking about independent regulator. I think what he's doing is just trying to get his house in order before they come in, and then they can't do anything.
Well, he could just play the victim, really, couldn't he? And just say, look, I'm trying my best to pay this, but it's not like he's the bad guy. It's not like he's refusing to pay it. He'll just say, I can't pay it at the minute, and this is what I'm doing to rectify it.
I couldn't afford it. So if you can't afford your mortgage, then you're going to sell your house and buy a smaller one. And that's kind of what he's doing. He's just buying a smaller squad, or just getting it to a point where, he's just got the bare minimum, which it's just horrible to see as a as a Sheffield Wednesday fan that this is happening to Sheffield Wednesday, and we're not going to be competitive this season. What one bit, and my distinct worry is that he's just going to struggle on. And then, when every time we've been relegated before, you think, you know what, big club, we can attract some decent players because they'll just come for nothing. But they'll come to Sheffield Wednesday rather than going to a Burton Albion, for example.
Yes.
Because they're playing in front of the bigger crowds and everything else.
Yeah.
And we'll be all right. But I think next season, are we going to be able to even pay their wages again? These so-called better players. And I think we've never been in the fourth tier of English football in our history. I think that's a distinct possibility that we could be playing League Two football, and we could be a Portsmouth, or we could be a Bradford City. And I hate to say that, I hope. But having said that, because I said, if you'd asked me before yesterday, there was a guy that goes by the name of Sai, not Simon with a Y, who we've had on quite a few times, but this other guy called Sai, who we don't really know who he is. He came on a podcast and he was just incognito. He didn't have a silhouette like you see on the news or anything. He's in the robot
balaclava and really, couldn't see who he was. But yeah, big question mark on his face. Yeah,
he weren't like that. But there was no video on, so you couldn't see who it was. The way he was talking, he said he worked in football. The way he was talking, he probably either works at the club or is heavily associated with someone that works at the football club. Just by the things that he said, only my hunch. I don't know. I've got no facts. But he was talking about the headline that he said was that a deal will be struck within the next 2 weeks. And then he started saying USA. And then there's things about John Textor, as you just mentioned. So, the big rumour at the moment is that John Textor could be buying Sheffield Wednesday. And that is very much, what's the saying, out of the frying pan into the fire, I think, when you look at what he's done. However, I mean, if you speak to Matt, who I do the pod with, he's very much anti John Textor. He does not want John Textor coming in. He's looked at what he's done at Botafogo and at the French club that he's got, Lyon, and everything else, and the Palace thing. And I just think, I don't think we're anywhere near that. And we are so bad as a football club. And compared to those clubs, we are a lot smaller. Like the numbers are a lot smaller. I can't see him doing the same thing here, and I just think he's that bad. I'd take anyone. I'd take Mike Ashley tomorrow.
That would be from the outside looking in again, and I have no vested interest in it really, other than seeing what the other half's doing. But anybody's better than him. Anybody but Chansiri.
For me as well, it's how do they exit the football club? Because Depon Chansiri has had ample opportunities to leave. He's had offers to sell the football club, and he hasn't done. He's digging his heels in. For what reason, I have absolutely no idea. John Textor obviously had shares in Crystal Palace. He sold them. Do you know what I mean? And he's moved on, and he's moved on with whatever his next venture is going to be, whether that's Sheffield Wednesday or someone else or whatever. But he just sold them. I don't know how long the process was or how much back and forth there was, but he sorted that out fairly quickly. Yeah, so as long as the next owners that come in, if they have a go and it doesn't work, hold your hands up, put the club up for sale, and let someone else come in. Do you know what I mean? And take over. And as long as that process isn't as long and laborious, and we're not having, protests left, right, and centre, as long as it's not like that, then it could be anyone for me. Do you know what I mean? Like the bar is so low, it is literally just stop us from going into League Two, please.
Again, I want to go on to comments because people have been commenting on that. We haven't read one yet, so I do apologise to everybody that is, and we will get to them. But I am fascinated about some of these elements to what's going on there. When you're refusing to go to games, because not you particularly, but the fans in general, it's been decided through trust that this is the approach you're going to take. You're not going to line his pockets with money. You're not going to be buying the shirts because that obviously puts money back into Chansiri's pocket, so to speak. But it also puts money into the club to potentially pay the wages of the staff. And that must be that's not a dig at any Wednesday fans, because you've got to do something to make a stand against this owner. But it must be a real moral dilemma for some when you'll have family and friends that aren't being paid or certainly not paid on time or in full. And then they're aware of their family member or best pal not going to the game and financially contributing because they don't want to support this owner to give him more money to pay you. There's a bigger picture obviously to be had. But what sort of feeling is there around the fan base around these sort of moral dilemmas?
Yeah, it's a massive one. And unfortunately, the staff at Sheffield Wednesday that might not get paid, they're just the collateral in all of this. And I think that again, you have to look at the bigger picture. And yes, it's really bad that they might not get paid. I just want to stress as well, they have been eventually getting paid. It's just always been late. I don't think they've gone 4 weeks without getting paid. Not saying that's right. It's obviously wrong.
It's ridiculous.
A day late, to be fair. But as a fan base, you've got to look and think, well, this could just continue. And this could carry on. And if he runs the football club into the ground, and we're just talking there about going down into League Two, whatever. I mean, we're a very lean football club as it is.
Yeah.
But, a League Two budget is going to be a lot less than what a Championship budget is. And there'll be people losing the jobs and stuff like that. That's probably going to happen as well. And there might be that things shut down and, they might lose. In him carrying on, they might lose their job anyway. We're trying to do the best for the football club, and hopefully they can, it sorts itself out really quickly, and then they're not in this situation again. And obviously there's a lot of, there's been a lot of help. The trust trying to help these people that are in financial difficulties, but by not getting paid. I mean, thankfully this didn't happen. The month just gone, so the end of August, they all got paid on time, including the players as well. But I don't know if that's going to happen this time around or not. But it is difficult when you're talking about boycotts. The problem is as well, by going to the game or buying tickets or spending money in the club shop or doing all these things, if the club could guarantee or someone could guarantee that money would go straight away to pay the people
absolutely
in the shop,
yeah, then
I think more people would spend that money.
Yeah.
But we can't do that. We when you part with your money to spend, in whichever way you do, you don't know where that money is going. That money could be going to anything. Like you haven't got a clue. It doesn't say that has to go to, every 45 quid spent in the shop goes towards, the woman who's serving
you like her wages. No, it don't. It all goes into coffers, doesn't it? And then everything gets disseminated.
It just goes out wherever. So that is the big problem. The biggest one for me is going to be the season tickets. They went on sale just before Christmas last year. I bought mine on January the 2nd, which I think was the last day you could buy one until it went up. £570 I paid for mine. Not the most expensive ticket. It's not the cheapest one either. It's in the middle on the north stand.
But that's an early bird price, isn't it?
That's early bird price. Yeah, we got 2 weeks. It got announced before Christmas. You had 2 weeks to buy it, and I bought it on the last day, which was the 2nd.
Is that because you were so like on the fence with it? Is that why it took you so long?
We were having discussions about finishing top 6 at that time. I know it sounds mental, but we were talking about we could actually, with a few additions in January, finish.
Danny Rohl did a great job with you, to be fair, didn't he? I mean, I know it's not ended well for him, and it probably sticks in your craw to think it. And Pedersen will likely had a big part to play in it as well. So I'm not saying it were all Danny Rohl and Chris Powell were there. I get it, but at that time, you were making the absolute best out of a bad situation. So I know what you're saying.
You're buying tickets for the next season. Do you know what I mean? You're buying tickets for this season when you think you might even have a chance of finishing in the playoffs for the one that you. I mean, it all went to shit, and obviously here we are now. But I think when you talk about like season tickets and stuff, that's a big one. I think that's going to be slashed. Probably at least half are going to stay away. So you're probably looking around about £4 million down. You're probably looking at, I think it's around about 8 million to get from season tickets, just a rough estimate. That's going to be about 4. I think that's going to come a lot earlier as well. That it's going to be, in the next month or two that season tickets come out for the following season, which I think is absolutely mental.
But the danger there is he takes that 4 million and that's what runs the club to the end of the season, isn't it? With him in charge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I don't think it gets him that far, and that's why they were doing this, not a pound in the ground. You mentioned there, he's lining his pockets. What we're doing is just trying to prevent him from carrying on, and he clearly hasn't got any money, and we're forcing him to having to then spend his money that he hasn't got. There's also, again, I know we want to come on to the comments, but there's also at the end of this month there's a loan on the stadium. Obviously, we sold the stadium to ourselves, put it in the wrong accounts, and we got the points deduction when we got relegated last time. That he's been rolling over this loan. The interest on the loan has been rolling over every single year. It's just been refinancing it and just adding it on, and then getting the loan amount, interest amount is just obviously being changed and increased every single time. That is due for payment at the end of this month. Now there's whispers that every time he's rolled it over, but we haven't been in this situation. So I don't know whether they're going to allow him to roll it over again. They might be asking for some money this time around, simply money that he hasn't got. So that is going to be another headache for him, which I don't know how he's
saying
going
like all contractors are saying we're not going to fix stand. We are 50% up front because we don't trust that we're not going to get or whatever it is. Yeah. There's even local businesses are affected by it and everything, mate. And it's an absolute shambles into what's happening at the minute. And those are the sort of things where fans are making difficult decisions not to support the club financially, not because they don't want to see them thrive, because they want to see them reborn again under somebody else, really, and sort of, you're forcing him out.
Can you imagine not having a season ticket at the Lane?
No, not personally. No, I can't.
See what I mean? And that's the decision that we're going to have to make now for next season, Having a season ticket. All right.
Most people, and not everybody's in a privileged position to afford it or be able to go location-wise, and we all understand that, but for me, it's a day with my dad and my auntie, and my brother used to come with us last season as well. And that's best amount of time all week I'll spend with them. In terms of I don't see my dad other than at United games really. So I talk to him during week and stuff. But the only time I physically see him, my dad, my auntie, we all go for a pint before a game. We meet up with Ramblers and stuff. We all have a get together about a game. Then we go to the match and we all come away miserable. But that's just this season. But it's part of your weekend that you look forward to, isn't it? It's part of letting you know. It's an institution as to how you do things, and like you say, you're now having to make that decision of, well, just because of what this man's doing to my club, I'm not going to support it. I'm going to be one of those that stands and says, no, I'm not going to go, and I'm going to leave that out of my social calendar, and I'll have to watch from a distance because I'm not supporting
that's
him.
The dilemma, and Matt, who I've mentioned a few times, who he lives in Birmingham. He comes up for every game, goes every away game as well. He goes with his dad to the home games. Got a season ticket with him, and he's saying that I've only probably got another 2-3 seasons going with my dad. Now he's getting old now, and he's probably won't want to come up to Sheffield every weekend to a game. Yeah. So for him, he's like, I don't again, one man, he's depriving him of those memories,
those moments.
It's not just the 90 minutes. Obviously, he travels up with him from Birmingham. That's a good a couple of hours in the car. They go for beers before. He's obviously drive back. I don't know if he sees him all week or not. I'm not too sure, but that's time that he has just with him that he's then going to give up. And if he don't go, he don't get a season ticket. He's not going to then go and sit with him for best part of 6-7 hours just in his house like this. So you miss out on that. And it's more than just the 90 minutes of football. And that, again, that's the dilemma that us as Wednesday fans are going to be faced in a couple of months' time, I guess.
Mate, let's get into some of these comments. We're an hour and 17 in, but yeah, I find it fascinating.
Don't feel like it though, does it? It doesn't, mate. 17 minutes.
No, it don't. John says, "Hi guys, glad we're not playing the Owls yet, as you may beat us up the blades." Bryce says, "As ever, people, please keep it clean, as we're a family channel." Yeah, it's a couple of S-bombs, but we're all right. We're good with that. Peake says, "In the position both clubs are in, respect to both of you." Thank you, Peake. Danny says, "Up the blades, up the Ramble." Luke says, "Evening, lads." Ray says, "Evening all. May sound like a ridiculous question, but who'll finish lower in the league, us or the Owls? Crazy, but if Sayers keeps his job, who knows?" Ray, that is. I love you, Ray, but if you think we are finishing below Sheffield Wednesday, then it's more than a disaster. More than a disaster. It will not carry on under Ruben Sayers. It won't, because they'll sack him before it carries on much further. And somebody else will come in and do a better job. I'm not saying how much better of a job they'll do, but they will do a better job than what Ruben Sayers has done, and we will climb the table to a varying degree. Sheffield Wednesday may struggle to get out of this bottom three all season now already. James, any different thoughts on that, pal?
No, if you're finishing below us, that's you bottom. The only other place we're going to finish is, well, we will finish bottom. I've got nothing else to add to that. Yes, we have started a lot better than what we thought, but we've just got 1 point from 4 games. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's weird. Like the morale around the club is like, it's positive. We beat Leeds, we're into the third round of the cup and all that stuff. Look, it's positive for the situation that we're in. I just want to stress that. But then you look at the league table and you go, it's only a point. Like that's all we've got to show for what is probably a better start than anyone could have imagined, really. So, and I think it's just be a long season this season. So yeah.
Agree, mate. S17 says, can Sheffield football get any worse at the minute? Not at the minute, pal. Not at the minute. Won't last long for Sheffield United. I am quite optimistic about, if I'm honest. Chris says, has Jinseri banned banners? If so, has he banned Barry Bannon banners? Tongue twister. Yeah. Martin says, evening guys, can't believe what's happening to this great football city of ours. It is a shit. Look, I don't want to lessen the reality of what is happening to Sheffield Wednesday here. We are having a poor time on the pitch. We will be absolutely fine, Sheffield United. So I know what you're saying, Martin, in terms of it's an awful time for Sheffield football, and that has been the tagline of the show, I suppose. But ours is temporary, and look, we may have a terrible season, and we may appoint a terrible successor to Sayers, and God forbid we get relegated, because that will be disastrous for us. But as a club, our infrastructure is an awful lot stronger than the Blue Half, and they are the real, I won't say concern, because I don't want to be too nice to you, but this is the disaster of what's happening in Sheffield at the minute. Our form is temporary, and I think we will pull ourselves away from the problems. They have got, as you've heard tonight, they have got real problems, proper problems that need sorting out as well. Matt says, we're both in a mess at the minute.
Just on that, Jimmy, I don't want to give you any sort of optimism or not, but you've only got to go back to 21-22 season, Nottingham Forest lost first 4 games of the season.
Steve Cooper,
no winning in 7. I think they were 6 defeats, 1 draw. Just looking at it now, they finished 4th that seson, and they went up via they beat that season. They beat you in the playoffs.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. Thanks. Do you know who missed the penalty for us?
Go on, enlighten me again.
Gibbs White. The irony. Anyway, one of them. We're both in a mess at the minute.
Did Max Lowe play that game as well? I think he did he?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Anyway. On and off the pitch, and we got a clown in charge. Credit to Wednesday, though. They're putting their bodies on the line. David says, evening, Jimmy and James. What on earth is going on? The question is, though, James, is it true that you were stopped from signing and selling on deadline day?
Yeah, so Chansiri tried to sell Piers Charles and Bailey Cadamartre. Yeah, he did, yeah. So
Bailey to us?
Blackburn Rovers, I think. But I think it was on the proviso that we then loaned them back for the duration of the season. So
I'd have done that deal for Piers Charles.
But the EFL blocked any incoming signings. So even though that would be a sale, they've took a stance of you can't bring any other players in, even if you've sold any. And then, there was 3 other players. I think there was Sam Raksake of Chelsea, Jaden Heskey, the son of Emil, of course.
Yeah.
And then another guy who Redmond is his surname, a Villa player that they signed from one Dutch side, PSV Eindhoven, I think it was. They signed him this summer and they're looking to offload him. I think he's gone to Huddersfield in the end. But no, they said no to all of them. The only player we have signed, as I mentioned, is Harry Amas. And that's because not only are Man United paying for his wages, they're also paying for his accommodation, paying for everything for him. So he's literally costing absolutely nothing. So the EFL have really, but just on that as well, the Chansiri has to deposit 12 months money, basically 12 months finances into the account and show proof in order for us to sign players. He obviously hasn't done that because we couldn't sign anyone. So yeah, that's where we're at.
Mate, it's a disaster, isn't it? Evening, gents, says Lewis. Shameful mess Sheffield football is in again. It's so bad James has to wear a shirt from the last time they had a good team. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Can we push the derby back even further, please? Yeah, strong request.
I'm going to test you on this. What year is this shirt from?
If he's saying it's the last time you had Sanderson. 97, 98, something like that.
93, when we got to 2 cup finals and lost both of them.
Yeah, well, I know what happened that year, so we'll move on. Brett says, do you think Barry Bannon stayed at Wednesday because he's the main man, whereas a move he might not have been guaranteed if he moved, he might not have been guaranteed to start?
He loves it at Wednesday. I don't think he can. Well, everyone loves him as well. I just don't think he could have brought himself to go anywhere else, to be honest. He took a massive wage cut. He could have got double his wages somewhere else, not double what he was on before, because that would have been something ridiculous, like 150,000, wouldn't it? So it would double what he's on now.
Seriously though, were you on about 35 grand a week previously?
I don't think it was higher. Well, it might have been at some point. I've always thought he ran about 20, to be honest, which is still a lot for us, to be fair, which shows you how far we've fallen, to be honest.
And 7's the cap now, isn't it?
No.
Is that right? No.
So that is when you're under a transfer embargo, which, because we paid, that's when you haven't paid your players, that's what happens. You can only sign someone on wages above 7, less than 7. Sorry.
Oh, so your existing squad you can negotiate as you see fit. Is that right?
Yeah, but we're not under an embargo anymore because the players have been paid, and players have been paid. The clubs we owed money to have been paid. HMRC's been sorted, so we're not under an embargo. We're under a transfer fee ban, which is separate, which means we can't pay a fee for a player until, I don't know, 2057 or something like that. It's 2027 summer, I think it is.
Yeah. So, I thought it was January, but yeah, that'll do. 2027. So he's not necessarily on. I thought 7 was the most you could pay a player, and it clearly is when you're under that embargo. Yes. You're no longer under that embargo, and you can So okay. So he's potentially on 10, 12, something like that.
Possibly, but he's on a lot less. But I think. In terms of why he stayed, he's obviously settled here. I think he lives Nottinghamshire way. Obviously, again, these are things that people forget about, innit? He's got a young family. He's got 2 young kids.
Plays a huge part.
So depending on where, if he were to go to a club around the Midlands or something like that, then fair enough. But if he's, going back up to Scotland or somewhere down south into London, it's a massive factor. And I think look, he's not short of a few quid, is he, to be fair?
No. And he is guaranteed to be a talisman going forward, isn't he? Whereas he goes to a West Brom, for example, and he's rotated in and out maybe just to manage his minutes at his age and stuff, but he's going to be the captain, the main boy, the free kick taker, the corner man, everything. So
I'll be honest, I wanted him to go, not because I don't like him or anything like that, just purely from a personal point of view. I just think this season's going to be that bad. It's all right now when we're 4 games in and we can get behind the boys and stuff. We're not cut adrift yet. Do you know what I mean? Once we get to the point where we are 10, 15, 20 points off of safety and we're not even halfway through the season or something, and the results are not, it's defeat after defeat after defeat, it's going to get toxic, and it's going to get to a point where people are saying to him, his legs have gone, he's not as good as what you were before. And I think it's going to be horrible.
That's the thing. It's does he stay a year too long? Because we've seen it with players like John Fleck, Ender Stevens. It happened to Ollie Norwood, where they start to get a bit of stick from stands, really, because Reece Norrington-Davies hadn't come back same from his injury, and he got cheered when he got substituted off of the week. And you think you never want to see that happen to your players. So it's sad to see, really, when that. I'm not saying he's started to wane already, but he might do as the season progresses if he's being flogged every game and expected.
We're not a one-man team. Do you know what I mean? Him staying isn't going to keep us up, unfortunately, as good as he is. So I just didn't want him to have that decline and people get on his back, because everyone has recency bias, don't they? He's done some fantastic stuff for the football club. I'm so grateful that he stayed. But actually, I think really, perhaps looking in my crystal ball, I think he perhaps should have gone, because it's not going to end very well. But then again, he didn't have a send-off. If he had gone, he would have just disappeared. And I think that would have hurt.
That happened to a lot of our stars, and you think it's such a shame, because I know he hasn't had the best sort of recent history, but he has been a shining light throughout that period, and he's one that you'd certainly want to give that. Him and Liam Palmer, probably, that you'd want to be able to give that.
Look at Jamie Vardy. Jamie Vardy left Leicester, and they had a guard of honour for him, didn't they?
Yeah.
For the last game of the season. And I think something similar would happen for Barry Bannon. He's been such a long servant. He's legend gets thrown about quite a lot in football, but he is a Sheffield Wednesday legend. And for him just to disappear and never to be seen again, I think will be, because obviously he would have played for another football club. He can't then just come back for the first game of the season and wave front centre circle. It would be horrible.
Yeah. Weird circumstances. Cooler King says, should merge to form a super club, taking the name Sheffield from
Turn
Sheffield
that
Wednesday.
comment off now,
and
please.
United from Sheffield United to form a new super club called Sheffield United. Cooler King, who is a neutral, by the way, Aston Villa fan. Thank you, pal. Always appreciate you. Never a merge will never happen. Good evening, gents. Up the blades, up the ramble, up behind the ramble. Like and subscribe. Let's have a look. Where else? Bride just telling everybody to please like, share. Never mind the rest. You with the best. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. Chris says Wednesday should boycott the Sheffield derby. It will save them seeing them get their team thrashed. Mate,
on that, it was
very early.
The anniversary of the Lloyd Owusu goal when we beat you 2-0 at Hillsborough. That was,
funnily enough, we didn't remember that.
Yeah, we don't remember that time where you beat us at Hillsborough either. But anyway, so that one popped up, and I was shocked. That was 2002, 3, something like that. It was a while ago. Anyway,
I were in nappies.
I looked, and it weren't even a sellout, and I was like, "What? I can't think back to a Steel City derby that wasn't a sellout." But clearly, that one was. But yeah, it just looked bad to see. I thought we were boycotting that game as well. To be fair, there weren't many on North Stand at all. But anyway. Just on that, I mean, it would be a massive, massive statement if we did boycott that game. I can't see it happening. I can't see it happening. I mean, it's quite a while. Well, it's November. Is it November time?
21st, I think.
Yeah. So it's a way off from now. There's certainly some good few weeks of things might change.
Is that the plan? Like boycotting as many home games as you can? Is that the plan going forward?
The problem we've got is, as I mentioned about season tickets, we've probably got, there were 19,000 fans there, and I can't imagine anyone buying a ticket on the on the gate. So that's just all season ticket holders plus the amount of fans that Swansea brought. So you're looking at like 17,000, 18,000 season ticket holders. We've already bought us ticket, so us not. You might as well go because you're not, you're not spending any money to go. You've already spent that money already. So obviously we have actually had a cup run this. We won a game in the cup, which you get through to the next round if you're not fully aware. So we've had other games at Hillsborough that you could buy a ticket for 100%. So obviously that's where the boycotts come from. But yeah.
Fez says, now here, United sing, the Wednesday ran away. Okay, thank you, Fez. Always welcome here, pal. Brett says, Jimmy, we're United not in for Patrick Roberts. Birmingham have played a blinder there. I don't believe so. I never heard any mention of his name, Brett, at all. And I prefer Ogbenny to Patrick Roberts, if I'm honest. And I'm going to say that because we've signed him. Jack says, don't like Chef Wednesday, but you can't say they aren't putting up a fight. I was fuming at our owners this window. I'd be head loss with no return if we had Fishman. Yeah, it's one of them. They clearly need to strengthen, and not being allowed to just because of what he's been doing to that club your head must be on Mars, mate, at times. Evening, gents. Nice to see the two halves of the city come together in peace, or is it commiseration? Either way, long may the rivalry thrive. Nowhere will we ever be a one-club city. Up the blades, up all the rambles, like and subscribe. Thank you, mate. If we keep Sayers, we finish bottom. Yeah, absolutely right. Bri, I think you're just replying to people in comments, Bri, aren't you? So I'm not going to be reading those out. Could Wednesday be losing minus 15 points, says Matt, or around that? So they might have to get 35 points to get to 20. Is there still talk of a points deduction, mate, for what's been going off?
Yeah, we didn't pay other clubs for transfers. You didn't pay one, and you got a 2-point deduction. I think there was at least 3 teams that we'd not paid. So, I mean, just that alone gets you a points deduction. I think the fact that, so when you don't pay players, you get 30 days of defaults on player wages and HMRC payments throughout the course of a 12-month period. We did that last season. And then I think it resets in, I want to say July. Well, we did another 30 days in the next 30 days. So we obviously for that you get the transfer fee ban that's got extended from 3 windows to 4. But then I think we've gone over that as well. So there has to be another punishment. Obviously, it goes to a independent commission, disciplinary commission, which I think is three charges against Chancery, or 3 charges against the club and 1 against Chancery personally. So Yeah, we're just waiting to see. I think also as well the EFL. What's point in giving a team points deduction that's probably going to finish bottom? It isn't. We're already
Save
being
it for next
punished
season
anyway.
if they want.
Well, I say it's probably going to be a suspended points deduction, probably, if anything, because they do say that, don't they? It's like when you go into admin. If you're already going to get relegated, rather than just taking administration and taking the hit and getting another, adding minus 12 onto your already paltry points total, they just give you next season. So it wouldn't surprise me if it was a suspended one. And also as well, I suppose it would detract from another owner coming in to take over the football club. So maybe the thinking,
that's true.
That's the one thing that's annoying in it. It's the owner that's done it, but yet fans and the club suffer. So I don't know. We'll see what happens on that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I suppose you're right with that. From a Blaze perspective, says DW, I thought Wednesday had something about them and were well organised by Pedersen. Pleased to hear I might be wrong. He says Sayers is full of stupid mistakes, going in full Phil Brown after Bristol, swearing in response to a journo, saying he didn't say anything to the players at half-time, then the Borough standoff, complete comedy of errors. Yeah,
what did you make to that when he walked over to fans against Middlesbrough?
I thought it was an attempt at showing bravery, and I think it was naive at best. So the smart thing, although you might not look as hard, the smart thing is to just leave it, come away, let it die down, let them have their say.
Over, do a clap from the back,
absolutely
back
right
of the group.
Acknowledge them as you would normally, but then get out of there. Don't encourage them because that just. It brings it to a boiling point, doesn't it? And it sort of allows him to be heard.
Someone who
more.
hates him isn't then going to go, "Oh, Joe, I don't hate him anymore because he come
over." Fair enough. You've come closer to us, and you're now sort of offering us out to sort of what have you got to say to me then? Oh yeah, actually, change it around. Only one Ruben Sayers.
Man. What do you make to the who was it now? It was QPR, weren't it? QPR player that went over to who did they get beat by? 7 or 8. Coventry, weren't it?
Yeah, young lad was over to crowd.
Yeah, what do you make to that sort of stuff?
I think you have to. I don't mind it. Gus Amer, for example, always goes over and claps Cop. He's always wanting that adulation, and I don't mind. He's our best player. We'd clap Gus anyway, to be honest. But some players want to try and remedy it themselves. Really, the only way to do it really is a performance on pitch, isn't it? We can all think you're nice guys. And we all warm to you as people, and some players you warm to, some players you don't. Some people you think get your club, other players you think don't. All this sort of thing. But ultimately, Ruben Sayers, for example, will come out, and usually in a press conference he speaks really well, so he can actually get you thinking. He knows what he's on about, so surely he can get it working. But it's only words, and words are all I have to take my heart away.
Do you know what? I was hoping you were going to break into song there.
But that is it though. You can talk the talk, and I don't mean that young player per se. I can't remember his name now, but it's do the business on the pitch. That's where you do your talking. That's why Sayers we're never going to get a turnaround as soon as he gets closer to the fans, because they're already fuming. He hasn't got us playing anything like. I can't talk about it, mate. It'll just make my blood boil. Where do you think the Blades will finish, James? Honestly, interesting from John.
Where do I think you'll finish? I had you kind of flirting with playoffs before this season starts.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Not third or fourth like most people had us. You had us flirting with playoffs.
I can't put you as high as. I mean,
no bias there.
Even last season, I had you finishing one place below us. Now I think you'll be up there come end of season. It's hard to say, isn't it? I think you starting off so bad has put spanner in works. Had you have won, like say we're talking after the game against Ipswich, and you've won that game, it's a totally different story, isn't it? You probably, but I suppose it's how long this winning drought goes on for, isn't it? Really, and then it starts getting in your head, doesn't it?
They say his experiment lasts. That's how long it is.
We win a game before you do. That would be peak. I don't care where we finish.
Yeah, I know.
Win a game before
it's little wins, isn't it, mate? Quite literally. Yeah.
Get that on your honours board.
I know, mate. I know. Sayers can go for me. Talks a good game. Can't put it onto the pitch. Bryce says, we're the strongest team in the league. We're holding the rest of them up. And Brian, that's what my granddad always used to say, says Paul. Scott says it was Dunfermline, a club with the stake in by, guess who? James Board. Yeah, so James Board was apparently involved in our consortium. We bought a player from Botdev Plovdiv, Jeff Caceres, to Sheffield United. It was with us 6 months, didn't play a competitive game, to my knowledge. And then we sold him to Dunfermline, who he also has a part stake in. No dodgy.
Yeah, if anyone listening, and you as well, Jimmy, just look up paper players as in a piece of paper. Just look up paper players and have a read on that, and then I think you'll find that that's probably fits the bill in what you've just witnessed.
I will do that, mate. I will do that. Right, I think we're more or less getting there now. Captain Scuttle says, Chansiri asking 100 million for something valued at 30 mil. That's why it's in limbo. Yeah. How much would you say you're worth at the minute? Is it around that?
20, 30. Wow. I think, a lot of people say that he sold off all the assets. I don't think the squad value, when you're looking at such a small squad anyway, even, we only had a couple of half decent players. I don't think that really comes into it. But when you look at, it's just everything, we don't, as much as I love Hillsborough, it needs a lot of work doing to it. I mean, look, didn't even open the North Stand. And that was only on the 11th hour. We don't own the training ground either. It's not like yourselves that have plans of building a new training ground that you can sell on. There's a lot of untapped potential that you might be buying, but in terms of actual assets, all we have really is a badge, the history, and the fan base. That's all you're buying, really. To be fair.
A little bit on this from DW as well. That I know you mentioned it before that he's got a loan that he keeps rolling over that he's going to probably try and do again, but. If this 7.3, as DW says here, it's a loan until end of September, it's registered on Company's House, and the ground's up as collateral. I thought he owned the ground.
Yeah, he does, but he's got. So it's like if you pay, he's got a mortgage on his
in
house.
it, yeah.
If you don't pay your mortgage, then they don't say, well, yeah, you can just stay in, 2 bedrooms and we'll have other 2. Like they take the whole house off you, don't they? So that's the same thing that's going to happen if you don't pay it. He's at risk of losing the stadium, which I've no idea where that leaves us. That is a bit of a mess. We could go to Don Vat. Oh no, they've knocked that down, haven't they? So maybe Millmore. Might tip up at Millmore, cut grass a bit, and we might, you never know.
We'll be rocking up at Shirecliff trying to get a game on our pitch.
Concord. Yeah.
Craig says, don't agree that Fleck's better than Banana. But although it pains me to say, I respect his loyalty to the club. Wow, Craig. Fair enough, mate. Dylan says, message to James, if that's his name. Why don't you get Si on your podcast and debate, since you think he's full of it? Seems to get more than Si, the flat earther. All right. So
I never said he was full of it. I just said that I think he either works for the club or.
I don't think you were that one how I interpreted it at all. I thought you said it's exciting to think that somebody might have a bit of positive information down the line. So it's sort of
I never said he full of. I didn't discredit anything that he said. He said that we're going to be sold in a deal will be done in 2 weeks. Let's just wait until this time in 2 weeks and see if it happens or not. Yeah, I think as well. It's very easy to put something out there. He's got no face to it. His name's just Si. He's not. He says he's not on social media and stuff. So, again, I think as Sheffield Wednesday fans, we are longing for that positive bit of news, which obviously he seems to have. And apparently he's got all these other stuff right as well over however long it's been. So fair play to him. He might know his stuff, and he might obviously be well connected to Sheffield Wednesday. So I hope it does happen. But also, if it doesn't happen, it'll just drift off into the abyss, and you don't have to answer. Like if you come on and say something, you're held accountable to it. If you say this is going to happen,
that's right.
It doesn't. All your listeners and everything and everyone on social media are going to come at you and say you said this. But if we don't know who he is, it's quite easy to say whatever you want. You can be really outlandish and really bold with your predictions. If you then don't have to stand up to him. If it doesn't happen, I mean, maybe he might come back on and say, look, sorry, I got it wrong, but this is what happened and stuff. But again, until you know what's happening behind the scenes, it's very difficult to actually.
No, I agree.
And also, just on that, with Simon Quick, who came on our podcast a few times, let's just not forget when he first came on. I think he had the same reaction as everyone else, as everyone's having now. and that could soon quickly diminish when some of the other things he said didn't kind of come to fruition. So let's just wait and see. I hope it does happen. I hope he's right. Ultimately, that's what we all want. So,
and to be fair to Dylan, who did come across quite spiky, he just says, sorry if it came across that way. This side don't get anything wrong. I mean, you're obviously hoping the same, that he's right and that something is round the corner. So he just thought it'd be good for you to have him on show so you could debate it.
Can I say as well, ITK, I hate that three-letter abbreviation. In the know does my absolute boxing. I've stopped trying to break any news. We just talk about it instead. We just react to it.
I'm right there with you, mate. I'm right there with you now because it's a thankless sort of discussion point, isn't it? Even when you say you're not, it's anyway. Let's not go down.
Just keep it under. All you need to do, keep it under your hat, and then. That's
then you're ready to talk about it if and when it happens, aren't you?
Exactly. Yeah.
Cooler King says Zepichino Redmond is the Villa lad who's gone to Huddersfield on loan. No clue. Yeah, fair dues, and that's a Villa fan. So yeah, there you go. Michael says James, is Samuel Raksaki the Owls were trying to sign the brother of Jezreel, who was at the Blades last season? Yes, I believe so. Not many Raksakis to be fair,
Raksaki is a very common name. It
is.
And Brown, I think.
Yeah, so, it's not like Jezreel Smith, is it? To be fair, but yes, I believe they are brothers. Michael, yes. Fascinating insight tonight. Compelling viewing, says Paul. Down to earth and real from a Blade in Spain. Thank you, mate. Craig says you will probably pick up more points on the road than at the farm for some reason. The farm being Hillsborough.
Less pressure. And I think our travelling fan base, we're talking about boycotting home games and stuff like that, not a pound in the ground when we go away from home. I think there's that togetherness and it's a tight-knit away following that we have, and I think some of the atmospheres away from home, it's easier to get an atmosphere away. At home, it's difficult. We were 2-0 down against Wrexham. They were singing, non-stop for that second half, and we come away with a point. So, yeah, you're probably right, mate.
It's a crazy question, this, Jack, but I'll ask for you anyway because you've been so polite. The question is, God forbid this never happens. If Wednesday go out of business, do you support Sheffield United?
Absolutely, categorically not.
If they went and didn't become a Phoenix club in a parallel unit, because I don't think it ever happens. But I don't know what I'd do. I don't know whether I'd go to another professional club or you just stay local then after that, or it's a weird one, isn't it? You ought to never have to think about.
It is difficult. I think it depends where that Phoenix club ends up. You know what I mean? If it's like in the same league as a Sheffield FC or a Hallam or whatever, then it'd be difficult. It depends how low down they go, or if indeed even there is one. But I think if there wasn't one, it would be a Sheffield FC or Hallam. Probably Hallam because they play in blue. It's after that, and it really, and probably go and support them. So yeah.
They'd end up being 15,000 Wednesdayites turn up at Allen, wouldn't they?
I think they've done record season tickets this season, and that's because quite a few Wednesday fans have bought a season ticket there rather than going to Hillsborough. So.
And that may well happen. They may get another bump next year, might they, depending on what's 100%.
Happening. I think it's like 150 quid. I went off the top of my head, but yeah.
Barmy, innit? Sounds daft, but wouldn't EFL go with a points deduction than fining Chansiri knowing he can't pay it?
Well, but what's the points deduction going to achieve, really? Like, it
just formalises your relegation, doesn't it? I suppose. I mean,
it does. But
at this point, we're just assuming, though, aren't we, that you're going to go down because you anybody that knows a little bit about the league can tell you the weakest, but you can defy logic in a lot of areas. So it's not an absolute nailed on guarantee that you go down. So a points deduction would be appropriate early on, but I think once we get 10 games in and I think you start to drift a little bit, which I think you probably will, that's then when it becomes slightly less relevant, isn't it, to do that, when they might as well hold it for another 10 games and see, because then if you're 15 points adrift, there's really
the
no
other thing
point.
As well is we're not out of it yet. Like, it's all right giving a points deduction, but then what do you do when we don't pay wages again? I think the saga has to finish before you kind of get punished for it, if you know what I mean. And there's still a long way to go in the season, so they've got plenty of time. Because if not, when do you give us the points deduction? Do you know what I mean? They're not satisfied that it was just a blip. It's just an ongoing problem that we've currently got. So maybe that's part of it as well. It takes that long, you might as well wait and give us an even bigger points deduction or a bigger fine, or give us an actual final punishment, really, if you know what I mean. We've paid wages this month. Who's to say we're going to pay him next month? Probably won't. So, yeah, just add that one on.
Mate. Right, last question I'm going to ask you because we've been on way too long. But how would you feel about Danny Rohl ending up at the Lane?
Do you know what that would hurt, definitely, given what we said about him and everything.
Do you think it's a possibility as well?
Strange. As stranger things happen, I don't know. Like, I mean, yeah, if you get rid of your manager, he's available. He knows the city. He's lived here before. Like, certainly got a better chance of doing something with you than what he would have had with us. Yeah, I think, do you know what as well? I think I said this last season when it came on here. In a weird way, I would never have had Wilder, and I'm sure at the time you would never have Danny Rohl. But I felt like if the managers would have switched, given the situations that we're both in, we'd have probably done better. We needed a manager like Danny Rohl, like Chris Wilder, with the squad that we had, and you probably needed a manager like Danny Rohl. I think Rohl could have got more out of your players. You had better quality players, and Wilder gets better out of that passion that we said before. I know that wouldn't happen because it's Wilder, but do you know what I mean? If you just took the characteristics,
the essence of the character,
yeah, that would have worked. So it would massively hurt if he went to you. The next club, when you look on his Wikipedia page, it says Sheff Wednesday, Sheff United. Like, yeah, he'd kill me that.
So he had I don't know whether the figures are accurate, but it were a 5 million release clause for him and a 5 million release clause for his staff that he'd have wanted to come with him. 10 million package, allegedly, something around that mark anyway, which is, I think it was a smart move by Chansiri, knowing that he had a good thing going with him and his coaching team. It's come back to bite you a little bit, I understand in end, but I think overall, when you could have lost him, and that might have meant you going down last season, then that could have been a good move for him. Either way, since he's left you, obviously Pedersen's stayed and now got the top job. And a lot of people have said, well, Pedersen were a big influence on him. Chris Powell's left the club. Who else of his coaching staff? Are they still at Wednesday? Have they drifted off into other jobs? Or are they sticking, other than Pedersen, are they sticking as a unit for now as much as... So if he came into Sheffield United, and I'm not advocating it because I think there's too much water under the bridge with your boys, but if he came into Sheffield United, would he have everybody but Pedersen available to come with him? You know?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there is some that stayed, but I think they were all here at Sheffield Wednesday anyway. So like Sasha Lenz is kind of like he does all the like mental stuff behind football. And I don't mean mental as in crazy, you know what I mean? Like psychological stuff. You know, nothing on the pitch. It's all to do with well-being and mindset and all that sort of stuff. He's one that obviously he's not here with Sheffield Wednesday anymore. He's gone. Yeah, Chris Powell was another one that he brought in. I said everyone else that stayed were here already. We haven't really got a backroom staff at all. We've got Giles Coke and Andy Oldsworth, who were the under 21s. They've now stepped up, and there is we haven't got an assistant manager like for starters. So we're really threadbare. That's another talking point. Actually, apparently we're going to sign. Pedersen's had some staff lined up to join him. When they entered negotiations, they got told that upon relegation they would have a 50% wage cut, which is absolutely bonkers when we are nailed on to get relegated. You might as well just say, well, your wage next season is going to be this. So of course they never signed it. So,
but that's not too irregular in the game, though, is it? Players get given that all the time. To be fair, not necessarily 50, but a huge chunk.
You're trying to attract staff to come to Sheffield Wednesday, and what you're basically saying is, we're going to get relegated. I'm going to relegate you, and for that privilege, I'm going to chop your wages by half. It's not. Normally, it's a deterrent. If you get relegated, it's almost like a bit of a punishment, isn't it? It's to stop them from getting relegated. Like, if you get relegated, this is what's going to happen. So
but now it's almost an inevitability that it's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. Just give them a low wage to start with and don't dock them. That's probably the better way around to do it, isn't it? Give them what your 50% offer would be next year, and if they don't take it, then fair enough.
Yeah, it's just an insult, isn't it? It just goes about it totally the wrong way. So anyway,
mate, I'm going to call it. I think because we've been on nearly 2 hours, and we didn't even have a plan what we were going to say when we came on. So Bryce
content, absolute full of content.
Bryce says, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and help us grow. Never mind the rest, you're with the best. Nice, Bry, I like that. The Ramble FC, obviously, the same goes for our main channel, the Blades Ramble, and of course, the Wednesday Till I Die pod as well. You've sat here and listened to him upset, bless him, for the last 2 hours about what's going on at his football club, and we don't have to not.
Tears.
He's run out of tears. Yeah, exactly. Look, we don't have to agree with his supports, but he puts out some quality content, and we're always keeping half an eye. So if you want to keep up with what's happening in the blue half of the city, that is the place to go. Wednesday Till I Die pod. Anything else you want to mention before we go, pal?
No, it's every Sunday, 8 o'clock. I know you kind of go on just before, so when you finish, I know you sometimes pop in and have a laugh and a giggle.
Absolutely. Not so much recently, because I'm keeping my powder dry till we turn it round a bit.
It's funny, actually, that Mr. Vancouver's been pretty quiet recently.
Don't you leave Mr. Vancouver out of this. Ramble royalty. You get out of town.
Yeah, there's not been as many United fans jumping on since the season started, which is funny.
We're just giving you a little break, and then we'll be back. Don't you worry.
I'm ready for it. I've got broad enough shoulders. I'm more than ready and set up for it. And do you know what, as well, in a weird way, because we were expected to go down, you kind of, well, you're just expecting it. I feel like you're probably in a worse situation in terms of you just the overall feeling and morale. I mean, we are in a really bad situation, but we've kind of, I wouldn't say
it's expected. It's expected, though, isn't it? Situation
yeah, that's what I mean. Whereas you're panicking and worrying, like what you were saying today, we won't get relegated, but there's that in back of your mind. You know, if don't be Ipswich, like you're going to be thinking, like, when is it going to stop?
We won't.
I know you won't. But what I mean is, the longer it goes on, like you're going to be. You're going to feel in a worse situation than what we're in a weird way. If you know, what I mean.
The danger is the next appointment is on a par with the current manager. That's the one thing I am worried about. It's the players on the field are good enough to be top 4, I would say, certainly. So we'll wait and see how it goes, mate, and we'll be catching up. I'm sure. Yeah. I don't know who you've got coming. Who we got next?
We've got Bristol City at home in the next game. I'm just looking, actually. Nikolai Kirov is the Plovdiv manager, so maybe it's him that's going to be your next gaffer.
Oh, on that note, we're off. Right, thanks everybody for watching. If you're not already, please do like the video and subscribe to the channel, both channels, and we'll catch up with you soon. Up the Blades. Nice one, mate. Sorry, we're such a